Satanic is a 15-year-old carry player who is currently top 20 in the EU leaderboards, which is roughly around 12k MMR. This guy has been wreaking havoc in 10k plus average pubs, beating the likes of Arteezy, Seb, and Watson every now and then. Having 12k MMR at the age of 15 is an enormous feat, and this guy can be regarded as a prodigy. Now I know that SumaiL won a TI when he was 16, but Satanic could be the next big thing. In this video, I will go over his Naga Siren as he's rocking a 90% win rate on her in his last 17 games. What I've noticed from his games is that he always has a really good manta timing, usually between 12 to 14 minutes. 14 minutes is his worst timing. Usually this should only be possible if a hero has an excellent laning phase, but Naga is a different case. This hero is able to get these timings even if her laning goes bad. Naga is probably the fastest farmer in the game right now because her illusions can farm multiple camps at the same time. 7.33 introduced new camps, so that is also a bonus. Now if you shut down Naga in the lane, she has multiple ways to keep farming regardless. Other than that, Naga's song has multiple uses. It can be used to set up, disengage, or reposition in fights, which makes it a really strong spell. With the 40% increase in the size of the map in 7.33, it's hard to find and kill heroes, nonetheless a hero with 3 illusions that have no downtime, which makes Naga a fearsome foe to play against. Lastly, Naga's recovery path is immaculate. I saw Satanic go jungle at level 3 and come out with 14k net worth at 20 minutes with 3 in the last hits. For his starting items, Satanic has only 2 variations. The first one is a Quelling Blade, Slippers of Agility, Circlet, 2 branches, and a set of tangos. He prefers going for this build when his lane matchup will not have much spell usage. Naga is a hero with low base damage. The stats from Iron Branches, Slippers, and Circlet allows her to have a better chance at securing last hits. He only upgrades the Slippers and Circlet to a Wraith Band if his lane matchup is going to be doing significant physical damage or if there are armor reducers in the enemy draft. For example, Draw Ranger Ultimate ignores base armor, so the +2 from the Wraith Band actually matters. Stuff like Shadow Fiend Presence of the Dark Lord or Templar's Essence Meld are also good examples. He does not upgrade the branches. The reason behind him skipping these small upgrades is that he wants to rush his treads as soon as possible, as Naga illusions benefit from the additional attack speed and agility, which in return lets him have a good manta timing. The second variation is a Quelling Blade, Circlet, Magic Stick, a branch, and a set of tangos. He prefers going for this build when his lane matchup will have a lot of spell usage. The stick is valuable in lanes like this as it's free sustain. He does not upgrade the stick to a magic wand unless there is insane amounts of spell usage, for example, something like a Bristleback or Shadow Demon. As for the Circlet, he never upgrades it into a Wraith Band, as it is better to buy the Band of Elven Skin and then upgrade that into treads, which I will explain why later on. Satanic plays for the bounty runes. At level 1, Naga does not have any spells that can lock the enemy down or do damage, as you will be skilling Mirror Image, so it does not make sense to play for the bounty runes with her. But here's the catch. Satanic uses his illusions to gather information for his team by scouting with them. He does not commit to fights but offers impact in the form of information for his team. In the laning phase, his laning approach is aggressive and defensive according to the scenario. If he's in a lane where the enemy does not have ways to deal with his illusions, he tends to posture aggressively with them. Satanic does not harass the enemy with level 1 illusions, he uses them to secure last hits and denies. Since Naga has low base damage, as discussed before, it's crucial to use the illusions to secure last hits so you can get gold to build towards higher base damage. Naga illusions are really weak at level 1. So making them fight with the enemy is pointless. It's better to deny multiple creeps with them. The idea is to secure last hits and get Band of Elven Skin as soon as possible, because it helps with base damage as it gives you +6 agility, which is 6 damage and attack speed for Naga. In these types of lanes, Satanic holds a skill point at level 2 and 3 rather than skilling anything. It depends upon the situation. If the enemy is below 50% HP, he will wait for the opportunity to skill net at level 2 or 3 and then go on them, which results in a kill. No one expects Naga to skill her Ensnare at level 2 or 3, so it's a good surprising factor. If the enemy is not low, he puts skill points in his Riptide and Illusions. He usually skills Ensnare at level 4. Regardless, unless he plans on leaving the lane and juggling early, then he ignores Ensnare completely. If he's in a lane where the enemy has ways to deal with illusions, he tends to posture them defensively. He aggroes the enemy creeps towards himself and then uses illusions to secure last hits. If the enemy has ways to deal with his illusions, that usually means that the enemy has AoE spells that will result in their lane being pushed into us. In this case, Satanic always pushes out the lane to make sure he can get something out of the lane rather than holding the wave and getting harassed by the enemy continuously. In extreme cases, if Satanic feels like his support is useless and he won't get much out of the lane, he will go as far as going jungle at level 3. Naga illusions allow her to recover well, so it's not a big issue. After he has at least 3 levels in his illusions and has treads, Satanic looks to accelerate his farm by pushing the lane in and then farming the side camps. His farming pattern is simple. He pushes the wave in and then uses illusions to clear the nearest camps. Naga is capable of farming 5 neutral camps and 2 waves every minute when she gets level 7. You push in the lane, you go for the hard camp, farm it, and then send 2 illusions to the medium and 1 to the small camp. After that, you push in the second wave and then farm the medium and small camps behind your tier 1 tower. This allows Satanic to have more than 100 last hits at 10 minutes. In every game, Satanic rushes power treads followed by a Sage's Mask. Maxed out Naga illusions have a duration of 26 seconds and cooldown of 25 seconds, which basically means they have no downtime. As a Naga player, you need to keep spamming your illusions to accelerate your farm and push in lanes, and for that you need ways to have mana regeneration resources. Sage's Mask helps with that. After that, he rushes the Manta style. The goal is to get Manta by 12 minutes. Manta provides Naga with valuable stats that her illusions can also benefit from. It makes them tankier and farm at a much faster pace. The build-up with Yasha helps the illusions farm camps faster as you want them to hit quicker so they can proc Riptide more often. Every video takes a lot of effort and I want to keep helping you guys by making quality content. If you are enjoying the video, please make sure to like the video as it helps the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe. Now back to the guide. Satanic has 4 variations of farming patterns. If he's in a winning scenario where he takes the enemy offlane tower, he tends to play aggressively by pushing the lane deep into the enemy tier 2 and then farming their ancient camps until he's booted out. After that, he goes back to his own jungle. If he's in a winning scenario but has not taken the enemy tower, he tends to play in his own jungle and pushes the lane out near his tier 1. If going to the lane is dangerous, he sends 1 or 2 illusions to push out the wave while he stays behind and farms something else along with his other illusion. This pattern allows him to farm 3 to 4 places at the same time. If he has Manta, he sends 1 illusion per camp or wave rather than 2 because the illusions are strong enough to deal with them alone. This way, he gets to farm 4 different places at the same time, which lets him have insane amounts of last hits. If he's in a losing scenario, which means he's been booted out of the lane, he lets the enemy have a safe lane tier 1 tower and retreats to the jungle and keeps farming there. His farming pattern is to farm and de-push the waves that are going to push into his tier 2 tower and farm the side camps every minute. Satanic does not prefer farming in his triangle. He prefers being in his own jungle as there are more camps there and he has illusions that can farm multiple camps at the same time whilst de-pushing waves. Other than that, the distance between the camps is shorter in his main jungle in comparison, so the travel time is less for the illusions. The only time he goes to his triangle is if he does not feel safe in his own jungle. His farming patterns are legit because this guy has literally 300 plus creeps at 20 minutes with 13k plus net worth pretty much every game. In terms of micro and illusion usage, from what I've noticed, he micros in different ways. He has 1 hotkey for 2 illusions, 3 different hotkeys for each illusion, and 1 for all 3 illusions. In the early game, when his illusions aren't that strong, say when he does not have Manta, he tends to micro 2 illusions to farm a singular camp. When he has Manta, he micros all 3 illusions separately to different locations so he can farm 3 places at the same time. As for microing all 3 illusions at the same time, that is useful in fights where he wants to focus on the same target. As for illusion usage, he sends illusions to places where his main hero cannot go. This could be dangerous spots like cutting waves deep in the enemy territory or farming the enemy side of the jungle. The basic idea is to be at multiple places at the same time, keeping in mind how strong the illusions are and their duration. In terms of joining fights, Satanic does not join any fights until he has an Orchid. He avoids and dodges every single fight. Naga is a hero that relies on her item timings. The time spent fighting on her early on can be used to farm more than 1000 gold per minute. He adjusts his farming patterns based on this as well. He plays opposite to the enemy until he's strong enough to face them. If they come top, he goes bot. If they go bot, he goes top. Basically, mirrors their movement. After getting his Manta, Satanic always buys an Orchid as his second item and Heart as his third item. Orchid is a crucial item on Naga Siren for several reasons. Naga Siren has illusions spreading all over the map and the enemy never knows which is the real Naga. Now imagine a Naga with an Orchid that is playing aggressively on the map. The game becomes very hard for the enemy to play as they have to be cautious about the Ensnare plus Orchid combo. Orchid allows Naga to posture aggressively on the enemy side, which we will talk about later on. Naga's main source of damage and impact is her illusions. The stronger the illusions are, the more potent the hero is. Heart makes the illusions absurdly tanky. In most games, Satanic has Orchid and Heart by 20 minutes. This is a timing where the enemy has pretty much no way to stop the illusions if they are so tanky, so Heart is a must-buy item on her. For his skill build, Satanic always maxes his illusions first, followed by Riptide and then Ensnare. Naga's farming tool is her illusions and Riptide, so it makes perfect sense to max these two first and then maxing Ensnare. His build looks something like this pretty much every game. At level 1, he always takes illusions first as they are necessary to secure last hits and denies in the lane. As talked about before, he holds the skill point as an opportunity to skill Ensnare and kill the enemy. After that, he maxes his illusions first, followed by Ensnare. He does not skill his ultimate until level 11 as it has a massive cooldown, and in the early stages of the game, Naga is focused on farming, so having the points in your farming tools is better. He maxes Ensnare after that. For his talents, at level 10, he takes the Riptide talent as it helps him deal more damage, which results in faster farming and damage in fights. The Ensnare cooldown is pretty useless for a level 10 talent. At level 15, he takes the Mirrored Image damage talent. Oddly enough, plus 15 strength should make the illusions more tanky, but it seems like he prefers the damage talent as that is the timing where he will have Orchid and Heart, so he needs to kill the enemy before they can kill him. At level 20, he prefers the plus 1 mirror image over the cooldown reduction on the Song. Song already has a pretty low cooldown at that point, and plus 1 mirror image means more wave cutting and damage in fights. At level 25, he prefers the cooldown reduction on the mirror image over the Riptide talent as Naga's main strength is her illusions. Being able to use it more often can change the tide of the fights. Mirror image gives you a dispel, and being able to use it every 15 seconds really helps in the fights, not to mention the constant spam of illusions throughout the map. Once Satanic has Orchid and Manta, he tends to play aggressively on the map on the enemy side. I mentioned the threat of Orchid earlier, and if he plays on the enemy side with it, he can close out the map for them by taking control of their side of the map. This creates so much pressure on the enemy team while making space for his own team. This results in a net worth lead for his team, and eventually they win off of that. When he plays the enemy side, the travel time from that position to the enemy base is short. He can send his illusions to cut waves from the route. When the waves are pushed in, the enemy cannot make any moves as they have to deal with them, and it is too obvious if they make a move because no one will be showing on the waves. His games end between 25 to 30 minutes, which is fairly short. Orchid is when he starts to look for skirmishes. Before that, he does not prefer fighting. In terms of playing the map, he plays the side where Roshan is going to be. If it's nighttime, he plays the Dire safe lane, and if it's daytime, he plays the Radiant safe lane. Roshan is a neutral objective, and to stop the enemy team from taking it, pushing in lanes and controlling that area is crucial. A hero like Naga can keep the lanes pushed in and trap the enemy in the base, and eventually, they can get Roshan due to that. After getting Manta, Orchid, and Heart, Satanic looks towards his late game itemization. He usually builds up between Nullifier, Bloodthorn, Hex, Silver Edge, Butterfly, and Disperser. He goes for Nullifier if the enemy has 4 staffs, auras like Crimson Guard, Pavis, etc. He goes for Bloodthorn if the enemy does not have a Dispel and he needs some magic resistance. He prefers Hex against heroes with high mobility and Dispels, heroes like Slark, Anti-Mage, Spirits, Puck, for example. He goes for Silver Edge if the enemy is split pushing the map. Silver Edge allows you to have an element of surprise as you can use Ensnare and Orchid after closing the gap with Silver Edge. He buys Butterfly if he needs more damage or if the enemy has a lot of physical damage, as the evasion helps with that. He goes for Disperser if he's super far ahead and the enemy has heroes that can slow him down. Naga is a hero that does not like to buy a BKB. Having an item like Disperser reduces the kiting potential that the enemy would have against Naga. Other than that, Disperser also takes away the enemy mana. Heroes that need mana like Leshrac and Spirits, in the Ensnared duration, you can chip all of their mana, so it's a good addition. In some games, you might buy all of these items, but in most games, you'll have to decide between them. With this information, you can decide which item suits you better in a particular situation based on the issues you are facing in the game. In terms of team fighting, if Satanic has Aegis, he tends to be very aggressive, forcing the enemy to use their spells on him and showing his main hero often. If he does not have Aegis, he tends to use his illusions to go on targets whilst microing one illusion backwards so the enemy thinks that's the real Naga, which baits them while he kills the other hero. He ensnares targets without dispel and bursts them down. When it comes to team fighting, there is always a lot of chaos and the enemy can forget about you. If that is the case, Satanic uses his main hero and illusions to chip down the backlines, the squishy, easier targets, and then goes on the other heroes and kills them. In terms of using Song, there are multiple ways. The most common Song usage is to use it to disengage. Naga pretty much has a get out of jail free card. Song can be used to reposition and re-engage in the fight after the enemy BKB is on cooldown. Other than that, another application of Song is to use it to save your teammates when you know that the enemy is strong. In this case, you don't only save yourself, you also save your teammates. When it comes to sieging high ground, Satanic does not do it unless the members of the enemy team are either dead or he has Aegis. Naga is a hero that can trap the enemy inside the base with her constant pressure on the lanes thanks to her illusion. Patience is key when it comes to going high ground. Satanic keeps the waves pushed in until the enemy comes out and makes a mistake and feeds. That is when he goes high ground and pressures the enemy. It is very crucial to respect the enemy as throwing games on the high ground is very easy. If you are interested in private coaching, you can join my Discord linked in the description. Do let me know in the comments if you have any feedback. That will be it for this video. Please make sure to subscribe and like the video for more high quality content like this. Have a nice day and good luck with your games.